7 years ago, I could have never imagined this moment. Presenting myself as someone who knows anything about fitting a health journey into a busy life was definitely not on the menu. Yet, here we are. I'm live, and I'm launching a podcast that does exactly that. I'm not here because I have all the answers, or because I've even reached my goal. I'm not there yet. I'm here because I've been actively living this health journey every single day for the last 7 years. I've had some pretty big successes and some pretty tough failures along the way. I have learned some stuff that might be able to help you. So whether you're just trying to lose some weight, looking for some inspiration or ideas, or just trying to make it through the week with your children's sanity and healthy choices intact, you're in the right place. Welcome to episode 1 of Making Mel Health in the Hustle. This podcast is a place where motherhood meets muscle, ambition meets exhaustion, and figuring out how to prioritize my health journey into the insanely beautiful chaos of a busy life is what I'll talk about. Some days it's going to look really messy, and other days I'm hoping that it looks flawless. But no matter what kind of day I'm having, I can assure you that I will tell the truth and I'll do my best to give you some good ideas and insight that will help you prioritize your own journey. So here we are, episode 1. Who do I think I am? When I started my health journey, I anticipated that it was going to change my weight. But I had absolutely no idea how this journey was going to change me. I am widowed. I'm a single mom of a teenage daughter. I work full-time as a professional. I am a power lifter. I'm a fairly new member to the Weight Watchers community. And 1 month ago, I became a PhD student. Like I needed to add anything else to the mix. When I started this journey, I was in a really different place. I was 423 pounds. I was depressed. I'd lost my husband to a heart attack, and I was thrust into being a single mom for the second time in my life. And I was completely exhausted, emotionally, spiritually, and especially physically. I was surviving, but I was definitely not thriving in life. I lived most of my adult life in the shadows. When I was invited to go anywhere, there was basically one thing that I knew I could count on. No matter where I went or what I did or who I was with, I was going to be the biggest one in the room. So I often stayed home. I avoided the get-togethers and the parties and the family events. I held myself hostage because of my size. And I had become a prisoner in my own life. I knew that something had to shift, but I wasn't really motivated to make a change. I had become complacently familiar with my life. I was comfortable in the discomfort. Now let's face it, 423 pounds is a very uncomfortable position for any human being to be in. But as human beings, things that are familiar, no matter how uncomfortable they get, often become comfortable to us. One of my favorite Weight Watcher coaches, Coach Valerie, often says your life begins at the edge of your comfort zone, and there is a lot of truth in that statement. Change often requires people to hit what they call rock bottom. For me, rock bottom was a conversation that I had with my then 8-year-old little girl. She came home from school after having a lesson on obesity, and she was concerned that I might be overweight. So she asked me if I was going to die like Daddy did. And that moment profoundly changed my life. I could not look at the sweet face of that little girl and stay in the comfortable anymore. I had to do something, or the real consequences were that I was going to make my daughter an orphan, and that was not an option. So I set out on a journey to get healthy. Now, if we were watching a movie, this is probably where they would cue the lights and the music and there would be a pinnacle moment. But change is not like that. It's not like a light switch. It is slow, painfully slow. It is a slow, soul-searching, bone-crushing, heart-wrenching, mind-altering saga at times. It can be really painful, especially at the beginning. Unlearning 47 years of bad habits will probably take me for the rest of my life. But at this stage of the game, I'm in it for the long haul. So let me catch you up on what I've learned so far. During the first few years of trying to get healthy, I realized that I knew a lot more than I thought I did, and I knew absolutely nothing at all about getting healthy. The media does not help us. There are a lot of mixed messages out there. There are a lot of people trying to get you to do one diet or the other, and it's a lot of information, and it can be very overwhelming. Now, the good thing was, at 423 pounds, I lost the first 40 pounds fairly quickly. And the way that I did it was I added fruits and vegetables to my diet. Yeah, it seems simple, right? But that's what I did. I didn't want to take away things because I knew I'd feel deprived. And that would work against me. So adding fruits and vegetables and slowly eliminating the foods that I knew were going to cause me problems is what I did. In that first 5 months, I was fairly successful. And then I hit a plateau. And I stayed there for 3 months. And nothing that I did, no matter how disciplined I was with my eating, nothing moved the needle. So I joined a boot camp at a local gym. Now, it was a 6-week boot camp. It was strength training circuits. And I had never belonged to a gym. Let me tell you, that was extremely intimidating. I'd heard all the stories about gym culture, and I already knew that I was going to be the biggest one in this healthy atmosphere. I was completely out of my element, and I almost chickened out going to that first class. It actually took me 3 attempts, getting out of the car, getting back in the car, getting out of the car, getting back in the car, crying, and then getting out of the car. See, the heaviest item that I have ever lifted in the gym was opening the front door. But once I got up the guts to walk through the front door, never in a million years did I expect what I was going to get into. So Monday, September 17th, 2018, Class 1, Day 1. I went in, I was resolved, I was going to work hard. So I got in there, and about 30 minutes into the class, I had a full-fledged asthma attack, which I had not had in years. Luckily, I always carried a Spale inhaler with me, so I was able to recover without needing medical intervention. But when I left the gym that night, I felt so defeated. Now, there's a sign that hangs on the wall in my gym that says, "All we ask is effort." And that night, I made a decision to try to live that message out. Putting forth effort in the things I do in life has always been a strength for me. So I leaned in on my strengths. I went home that night, I had a good cry, and then the next morning I called the doctor and I got an updated script for my inhaler and a Buterol for my nebulizer machine. And on Wednesday, I went back to the gym about 20 after 5 and walked in with my nebulizer. And as I walked in the door, I saw the owner and 2 trainers standing in the lobby. And I said, "Hey, do you mind if I plug in and do a breathing treatment before class?" And the looks on their face said everything. I found out months later that after that Monday class, they didn't think I'd be back. And when I walked in on that Wednesday prepared, not only prepared, but armored with the things I needed to be successful, they knew that they were dealing with somebody who had some grit. So going to class became my Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine. And the longer I participated and the stronger I got, the more I liked it. Now, it was during the second 6-week boot camp that things really changed for me. The trainer took us over to the other side of the gym. See, there were 2 sides. There was a boot camp side, and then there was a side where the powerlifters worked out. And she took us over to the powerlifting side of the gym and showed us how to squat and deadlift. And I got to be real, I fell head over heels in love with heavy metal. Literally. So even though I initially landed in that gym trying to lose more weight, I found not only a community of characters that supported me being there and cheered me on, but I found my footing as a gym member and as a baby powerlifter. The first few years, my daughter not being an orphan was my why. But then on November 24th, 2019, all of that changed for me. I came out of the gym after a particularly hard workout that night. I had deadlifted and I did all the accessories and I really pushed my body to the limit that night. And when I got in the car, I felt powerful. I felt strong. You couldn't tell me anything. I looked in the rearview mirror. My face was a little bit red and sweaty. And I remember thinking, wow, I feel comfortable in my own skin. And that made me pause. Because if there had ever been one moment my entire life that I felt comfortable in my own skin, I must have been too little to remember it. See, I was the heavy kid from the time I was a little kid. I've never been a healthy weight as an adult, so I don't even really know what that looks like on me at this point. But it was that night that powerlifting became part of my identity, and it will always be part of who I am. So I continued my journey, the next few years, strength training and trying to figure out how nutrition could work for me. I experienced some injuries during that time, pushing my body too hard and not understanding the value of rest. I was kind of hard-headed on that one. I've got that lesson down now. And then I hit another 14-month plateau at 345 pounds. That plateau prompted me to seek help once again. So initially I went to a dietitian and worked with her for 4 months and puzzled the heck out of her. And she suggested I go see my doctor and find out if I was insulin resistant. And of course, I was. Now, I've had polycystic ovarian syndrome since I've been a teenager. And at 48, I was definitely experiencing all the symptoms of perimenopause. However, my insurance refused to pay for medication to help my insulin resistance. They said that my numbers looked too good. Now, I was still on blood pressure medication at that point, but I had moved my cholesterol numbers from 340 to 220 over 3 years. So my numbers looked really good. My A1C's never been a problem. That's always been a steady, good number for me. So in order for me to get the medication that my body needed and to be able to focus on losing more weight, I threw a Hail Mary pass and I applied for a weight pilot program that was available through my work. And I got in. And that choice led me to the next change in my life. When I got into the program, they sent an email and said, you have to choose one of these programs to learn more about losing weight. So remember what I said back at the beginning about comfort in the familiar? Well, Weight Watchers was one of the choices. And since it was familiar, it was the one that I chose to join. So when I joined Weight Watchers in January 2025, I had some real misconceptions about the program. I had a very limited knowledge. I didn't know much. I knew there were points involved and there were workshops or meetings is what I called them at the time. And if I'm being honest, when I realized they had a virtual platform for their workshops as well as in person, I kind of saw my attendance at workshops as a waste of time. Joke was on me. Little did I know that the Weight Watchers community was a missing piece for me. I have been a lone ranger most of my life. It's just the way that things have kind of fallen. And so what I did initially when I started going to the virtual workshops is just kind of checking in and seeing what fit. I did not turn on my camera. I did not really participate much. And then as I started to grow in the community and say some things, another member approached me and said, hey, have you ever been to a Century Club? Now, I didn't know what that was, but Century Club is a workshop that Weight Watchers offers where they don't talk about the theme of the week like regular workshops, though that's of great value, but it's geared towards people who have more than 100 pounds to lose. We have a little bit different needs. So I decided to check the workshop out, and I have never, ever looked back. That workshop changed me in so many ways, and it led me to many other workshops that I've been part of for the last 9 months. The people in this community have leveled me up as a human being in ways that I did not even realize was possible and did not know that I needed. Amongst the coaches and the members at Weight Watchers, I have met some of the most incredible people that I've ever known in my entire life. I love them. I support them. I will be proudly a Weight Watcher for the rest of my life as a result. And I will probably talk about the Weight Watchers program a lot during this podcast, because the tools and that program offers has not only helped me to calibrate my journey, but that community, oh, how I love it. The people in this community not only understand all the difficulties involved in trying to get healthy, but they can offer guidance and support and ideas that help me improve my own health journey. I am incredibly grateful for everything that the Weight Watchers community has brought me. So this entire time, this whole journey has occurred while I'm raising my daughter, who's now a teenager, working full time, being an active member in the Weight Watchers world, and lifting heavy stuff. Over time, I've developed not just knowledge, but a passion for wellness. So this naturally led me to step into a new chapter of life, pursuing a PhD in health sciences. See, I want to be part of the future of wellness, not just for me, but for all the people out there who are like me, who are trying to figure out how to fit health into their life, and maybe they're late to the game. They're living busy lives and just trying to figure out how to make it all work. Over the last 7 years of this health journey, I have learned that health isn't just about food or exercise. It's about mindset and identity. It's about reclaiming your life and writing your own story. It's about choosing yourself first, even when it's inconvenient. I've learned that prioritizing health is a necessity if you want to be around for a long time. And quite frankly, I have another 50 years in mind. I think 103 sounds like a good age for me. I've learned that progress over perfection is more than just a trendy statement. It's a lifestyle choice. Now, I know I'm not the only one navigating health in the hustle. I hope that by creating this podcast now, that maybe I can be the kind of guide that I wish I'd had for those first several years of the journey. I plan to talk very, very openly and honestly about my journey in a real way. There is nothing that I'm going to be let off limits. I will talk about my victories, my failures, my breakthroughs, and my breakdowns, the wins and the weight of it all. So as I finish up episode 1, who do I think I am? Well, I'm Mel. I'm someone who's in progress. I'm not finished yet. I have a lot further to go in this effort to be the healthiest version of myself. And I'm sending you an open invitation to come alongside me. Because there's one thing that I've learned and one thing I know for sure. There's strength in numbers. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or feedback for this podcast, please email me at, all one word, makingmelinthehustle at gmail.com. Next week in episode 2, I'm going to be talking about balance, the illusion of having it all together, and what balance really looks like in a messy life. Until then, onward and upward, my friends.